Namaskar and welcome to Startup Champions. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Our journey with the brilliant startups of India continues. Now they say industry manufacturing capability is often a measure for a country's economic potential, economic strength. Years ago, Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched the Make in India mission with an aim to transform India into a manufacturing hub of the world. Now that mission today is taken forward by the startups of the nation. Artificial intelligence, augmented reality, machine learning, 3D printing, and much more. And they're transforming the way in which Indian industry is manufacturing work. Very happy to introduce the startups who are joining us today. One by one, let me introduce them to you. First, we have with us Fabheads Automation from Chennai. And Dinesh Kanagraj is joining us. Dinesh, warm welcome to the program. Our next startup, Planis Technologies, also from Chennai. Tanuj is joining us. Tanuj, founder. Welcome to the program, Tanuj. And then we turn to Scapic Innovations. And Sai Krishnan, founder, is joining us in the program. Sai, warm welcome to the program. And finally, we have with us Ginger Mind Technologies. And Gaurav Mittal, the founder, is joining us. Gaurav, warm welcome to the program. A round of applause if we can have, and a warm welcome to all our audience members as well. Always wonderful to have you in the show. We'll be looking forward to engaging questions from your side as we begin the program. Let's talk about our mentor. Very crucial part of any startup ecosystem, also this program. And on this mentor wall, our mentor will appear. There he is, Mr. Sanjeev Bikachandani. Warm welcome to you, sir, in the program. Padma Shri awardee. Also, we know you as the founder of the renowned Naukri.com. You're the co-founder of Asoka University as well, and now a leading investor into startups. Warm welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
So let's begin with this edition of Startup Champions. Let's take a look at a special report, the manner in which cutting-edge technology is transforming industrial revolution in the 21st century, and the role that startups have to play in it.
Century manufacturing is driven by cutting-edge technology. India has set ambitious target to increase the share of manufacturing in the GDP to 25%. And Industry 4.0 has a bigger role to play in it. To understand it, let's take a closer look at how industry revolutions unfolded over the ages. What is Industry 4.0? The first industrial revolution began in the 18th century through the use of steam power and mechanization of production. The second industrial revolution began in the 19th century through the discovery of electricity and assembly line production. The third industrial revolution began in the 20th century through partial automation using memory programmable controls and computers. We are currently implementing the fourth industrial revolution, characterized by the application of information and communication technologies to industry. This is Industry 4.0. Welcome to the smart world of manufacturing in Industry 4.0, a world where data and automation plays a key role. Machine learning takes production capability to the next level. Internet of Things, augmented reality, and cloud computing-based applications are providing digital solutions to the traditional challenges. The new manufacturing ecosystem seamlessly connects people, process, and machine. The foundation of Industry 4.0 in India is ready.
इंडस्ट्री 4.0 के 4 मुख्य फैक्टर्स होने वाले हैं। कनेक्टिविटी, ऑटोमेशन, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस या मशीन लर्निंग और रियल टाइम डेटा। आज भारत दुनिया के उन देशों में से हैं जहां सबसे ज्यादा डेटा उपलब्ध है, जहां के दूर दराज क्षेत्रों में भी मोबाइल कनेक्टिविटी है, स्मार्टफोन है। भारत का ऑटोमेशन डिजाइन का एक्सपर्ट पूल भी बहुत बड़ा है और ज्यादा ग्लोबल कंपनियों के इंजीनियरिंग सेंटर भी भारत में है। आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस और मशीन लर्निंग में भारत के सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर्स बरसों से अपनी क्षमता से दुनिया को अवगत करा रहे हैं।
Startups are leading the deep tech revolution at the heart of Industry 4.0. From electric vehicle to drones, from 3D printing to state-of-the-art sensors to wireless connectivity. India is not only embracing innovation but also propagates a clear vision about what technology means for our collective future.
हमें याद रखना है कि इंडस्ट्री 4.0 भी रोबोट के लिए नहीं बल्कि इंसान के लिए है। हमें ये सुनिश्चित करना होगा कि टेक्नोलॉजी ईज ऑफ लिविंग का टूल बने, ना कि कोई ट्रैप।
That was the exciting world of the Industrial Revolution in the 21st century. Let's get a perspective from our mentor, Sanjeev Bekachandani. Now, from founding Naukri.com more than 2 decades ago to 2021, if you could tell us about how you see the ecosystem for startups in the country has changed, and tell us about that.
It's changed very substantially. It's not a revolution in 1 year. It's an evolution over 20 years. I think things have changed substantially. Number one, there are many, many more people who want to do startups. Many, many more highly qualified, educated people, talented people who want to do startups. Number two, there is risk capital available in greater quantities, in greater amounts than earlier. So you've got your angel funds, you've got your angel networks, you've got individual angels, you've got seed funds, you've got venture capital funds, series A, B, C. So capital is more easily available. Third, I think the market is substantially larger than it was 20 years ago for many of the things that new age startups are trying to do. Fourth, the quality of the entrepreneur has also changed. The ambition, the capability, the talent. I mean, when I compare myself to the youngsters, who are doing stuff today, and I think of myself 25 years ago, I think people are much, much smarter, much, much more ambitious than I ever was. Okay, and so that's a good thing. They have a high chance of success. Fourth, people are thinking global. They're thinking of going outside India and solving India's problems and also selling their solutions to the rest of the world. I think in an earlier age, we did not have global ambitions. These are some of the things that have changed, actually.
Right, great, Sanjeev ji, and I think the startups are also making the best use of the opportunities and the ecosystem available to them today. Stay with us as we take the journey and the stories of startups who are joining us one by one. Let's start with our first startup, Fabheads Automation. Now, you've heard about carbon fibers. We know them as very strong material. We know them as to be very lightweight and a 21st century material to be used in different kinds of manufacturing. They're used from making rackets to full-size rockets. But they're difficult to work with. It's a labor-intensive process. It's also expensive. Now, what Fabheads has done is that it has fully automated the process of manufacturing with carbon fiber using 3D printing technology, and the implications are wide, especially for the aerospace and defense industry. Let's take a look at their fabulous journey.
What happens when one gets inspired by a dream that won't let you sleep or rest in peace, a dream to take the nation to greater heights through innovation, a dream that led an ISRO scientist give up his lucrative job, thus born Asia's first continuous carbon fiber 3D printer. Fabheads came into existence in 2015, bearing fruit of a dream by Dinesh Kanagaraj. Chennai is turning into a new hotbed for deep tech startups, and leading the bandwagon is Fabheads, which has developed a 3D printer with carbon fiber printing technology, which is going to be a game changer in this arena. Traditionally, making parts with carbon fiber material has been a very expensive, laborious and time-consuming process. Fabheads' indigenous carbon fiber technology solves this problem by automating the whole process of manufacturing.
So one of the biggest challenges is the kind of technology that we are developing is quite new to the market. Very few people who have even targeted something similar of this kind across the world, and no one in India in fact. So if the moment I come to a large manufacturer like say Tata's or even any of the large manufacturer like HAL itself, I come to you and then say that you have been doing this manually I've been building these large structures manually, I can automate it. They don't believe you in the first case. I mean, like, it's something many people have tried and failed, and it's not something too easy to get it done also.
Fabhead's vision is to make carbon fiber part manufacturing solutions more accessible and economical to Indian manufacturing units.
It's a very niche area, and if you see, I can, let's say, safely say there are less than 500 people who do composite engineering in India. And if you combine composite engineering with, let's say, aerospace or drones, I can safely say there are less than 100 people who do it in India. And what we are doing is automating that with additive manufacturing. So this is definitely a niche area.
It's a very cost-intensive, very labor-intensive process. So that's what we try to automate here, and these are all the machines which are focused towards that goal of automatic carbon fiber production, making it more accessible for people, making it more cost-effective.
Fabhead's Firebot series of 3D printers allows user to 3D print strong lightweight parts which can be used for various applications across sectors including drones, automotive, aerospace.
So very recently we got an IDEX grant for about 1.5 crores. This is a part of the Startup India IDEX programs, IDEX challenges very specifically for startups. So this is one of the open projects where we had projected to build the helicopter blades for the aging MI aircrafts, MI helicopters. So you see, all MI helicopters today use metal blades, and which have about 2000 hours of lifetime. And when you make it out of carbon fiber, right, it can easily give you at least 8000 hours of lifetime.
Fabhead's efforts to disrupt the manufacturing sector in India hasn't gone unnoticed. They have won numerous awards, including the National Startup Award. And as India embark on a dream to be Atmanirbhar Bharat, their role will be even more important in the days to come. Tapush Bhattacharya's report, TD India.
There, the brilliant journey of Fabhead's automation, and Dinesh, founder, is with us. Dinesh, first congratulations for that amazing contract that you've got to make helicopter blades for our defense forces. Now, we're familiar with carbon fiber as a material. We're also familiar with 3D printing. What you've done in an amazing manner is to put them together. You're manufacturing through 3D printing of carbon fiber material. How did this idea come to you? Where did this originate first?
Yeah. So I have done a lot of products out of carbon fiber right from my college days. So we tried to develop little tiny projects during my college time, and I was one of those guys who wasted a lot of money in college money in doing some research work there. But it's kind of, even right from there, we used to see it's completely handcrafting. It's almost like sculpting work, you know, out of hand, how we do things. It's almost very similar to that. And even you take, during my time when I was working in ISRO, even very large structures used to get fabricated in the same manner. And this comes down to a lot of wastage also at the end of the day. A lot of material gets wasted, a lot of rejections, especially where things have to be done very precisely. This rejection really costs us a lot. And that is why the inspiration towards automating this particular sector came into picture. And 3D printing, or in general additive manufacturing, is a very good way to handle these materials. And that is why we started looking at put both of them together. Yeah.
Right. And you did mention that you spent a lot of money into research. Let's see how your family looked at your journey so far. We've spoken to some of them. Let's take a look.
We are very trying to convince him to continue the job. But he don't listen. He didn't listen.
We are very worried about this situation. But in next 2 or 3 years, we are very happy for this situation.
There were no revenues coming in. He was going through a very tight situation. He even said, let's wrap up because it's not happening. It's too much on my shoulders. But I could see that now he's slowly getting some kind of a confidence that yes, it's doable, but there are times that keeps flaunting in, like some bad times do come, but good times will come after that.
So I think all the members of your family eventually, I think, figured out that startups is where you're going to thrive. How was the support for you from the family?
Yeah, it's very immense actually. Definitely would not have been possible to do what we are doing right now without the support of family. I mean, like, there are always challenges and there is always some downtime, and they have been very supportive, and they keep saying that you don't worry about anything. I mean, like, you just keep doing, chase your dreams. And that is a huge motivation to have them at the back of it. So though they were very not so taken very friendly about the idea to start up when I left ISRO, but they were very motivating and encouraging down the line. But
right.
It's very
and Dinesh, if I'm right, your innovation is also the first of its kind in Asia.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Let's get a perspective on that from our mentor. Sanjeev Bikachandani continues to be with us. Sir, the journey of lab heads, the manner in which automation is done for a difficult material to work with like carbon fibers, how do you see that puts India on the map of global map of innovations? How do you see their journey?
Well, I think it's a huge achievement. I think it's very good work. I do believe, however, they should focus a little bit of attention on understanding how replicable what they've done is. Can somebody copy it? Is it very hard to copy? Is there a moat? Do they have patents? Is there some trade secret? Because that will make the business more defensible. Also, to be financially viable as a company and to grow, what are the industries which this product could be used in? Is it just defense and aviation, or are there other industries? Is it just public sector, government, or are there also private sector clients? I think the more you diversify your client base, the more you diversify the industries where you can be used, the better it will be.
Right, right. Thank you for that input, sir. Dinesh, what about patent? In what manner? Because Sanjeev, you did talk about securing the innovation. What have you done on that front?
Yeah. So we already have 3 patents that are granted already. And more have been filed, and they are going through the process. Thanks to New Startup India, many of these granted were already granted in less than about 6 to 8 months from the date of filing. And so, yeah, patents are, but still a very small part of the key. The key is really to, keep innovating more and more and staying ahead of the curve, rather than just sit pretty with the patents.
Amazing. So our audience members are also curious to put some questions to you, if you can get a question from. Yeah.
Hello sir, my name is Sukriti. Sir, first of all, congratulations to all of you for your wonderful contribution towards our economy. Sir, my question to you is that nowadays youth have not that much knowledge about startups, especially industrial sector. It requires a lot of skill and expertise. So how can we fill that gap, and what all risks did you face and how you overcame them?
I was very lucky enough to get very good internships during my college actually. And that really helped, especially the particular sector that I'm working in. The same sector, I happened to do an internship at National Aerospace Laboratories in exactly almost the same sector. And that during that time, that is a kind of first-hand experiences where you understand what are the real key problems in the industry. So in some kind of way, we need to identify and figure ourselves, interact with more industry people, or do some internships, or via your academia, find some way to interact with industries. That is always good. I mean, there are enough problems out there in the industry for people to come and take a look at. So,
hello, my name is Dipansh Kathuria and I'm from Jagannath Institute of Management Sciences. So basically my question as a student for you is how did you manage financially? As we all know that, you said that you have been doing these type of 3D printing projects since your college days. So how did you manage financially?
It is definitely a very hard to finance yourself during the early stages of any hardware startup for that matter. Especially in the areas where I'm working, and even the raw material that has to be used for the mission tends to be even more quite expensive. And so it's definitely not easy, but I had again some support from my alma mater in IIT Madras Incubation Cell, where I got some seed grant, and that did help me, but still that was all a very small amount to the kind of missions that we are building. But the key thing is do it in phases. You very quickly you need to establish a proof of concept of what your technology is, and don't try to build an industry ready product. But the key thing is really establish that this is something doable, and you should be able to convince somebody to back you up. And that is really the key. And we were fortunate enough to get some investors on board early enough with some of our POCs going, and then that supported us to get into market, and then we got going with more awards. But key thing is do it in phases and keep it supportive.
And time now to move to our second startup, Planis Technologies. Now, we've all admired big infrastructure like bridges when we cross it in a train or in a car. But have you wondered these bridges over rivers, how are they maintained, especially the parts which are underwater? Not just bridges, other infrastructures like them. There are human divers who take care of that. They dive into the waters and try to look at cracks and the ways in which more maintenance can be done. Now, what Planis Technologies has done is that they've invented a robot, underwater rover that takes care of this work. The rovers go inside the water and looks at the possible maintenance work, and this process obviously becomes more safer and efficient. Let's look at the special journey of Planis Technologies.
Aging infrastructure is a vital problem worldwide, and it gets even more difficult to deal when the infrastructure is located underwater. Traditionally, human divers are used for inspections, but they have limitations. This is where the IIT Madras alumni and faculty decided to build something that will address the issue. Their startup, Planis Technologies, based in Chennai, built underwater robotic inspection solutions using indigenously developed marine robotics, diagnostic sensors, and AI-enabled reporting dashboard.
We are the first marine robotics OEM in India that manufactures underwater drones. These drones are basically small robotic devices. Anything that has got to do with measurement of underwater data, that's where our platforms are used. We have a specific crew, a specific engineering team that works around the clock.
The idea, being the first of its kind in the country, was not easy for the founders to convince others. Started off from a basement in 2015, Planis today has scaled new heights and has several big names in their client list, including HP, BP, ONGC, Southeast Central Railway and L&T. After being the pride of India with their indigenous idea and ROV, Planis stretched wings to international waters within 4 years. Planis introduced the underwater ROV concept to the market, thus ensuring extreme quality services are provided, and ROVs should be robust enough to provide services consistently.
The company has established its name in the field of ROV services, and we have completed almost 125 plus projects in this field. With this completed, we have actually captured a very small fraction of the market that is there within India itself. Recently, we also completed some international projects.
The founder says Make in India and Atmanirbhar initiatives have benefited the startup as it has changed the view of people towards startups.
The Make in India initiative has really helped a lot. Over the past few years, the way we see that organizations and individuals are looking at startups has really changed. Self-reliance initiative, the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative is something which we believe is something really great, and is going to really propel startups like Planis and moving forward and becoming not only a commercial but also a success on the global scale.
With half a decade of service completed, Planis is labor of passion, hard work and relentless determination.
We've seen and heard about robos, but at Planis Technologies, we take up a notch higher. We have underwater robos here. The robos over here, they go underwater, they inspect and provide solutions that secures our underwater assets. This is helping in avoiding catastrophic failures like dam bursts and bridge collapses.
It's Planis Technologies' fantastic journey. If you can have a round of applause for that. So that was the journey of Planis Technologies, and Tanuj, founder, is with us. Tanuj, fascinating what your underwater rovers can do. Now, your area of work where these rovers work is hidden from plain sight, is underwater. How did this idea come in? Where did the motivation come to work in an area which many can't even see?
So during college days, a lot of us built a lot of robotic systems on ground, and we figured that underwater robots was a new dimension to it, and we started building these for fun to begin with. So there are several tinkering labs at our university where several large alumni donate for several projects, and we do this out of fun. So this was out of extracurriculars that we built these systems, and we also did, a couple of us also did a master's thesis under this, where we demonstrated few specific inspection solutions using advanced NDT. So NDT is a very important element to this. NDT stands for non-destructive testing. To explain this, in healthcare, X-ray and MRI are NDT techniques.
Okay.
Similarly, there are several NDT techniques for underwater work. And post-college, we showed this to several industry folks on the value of what this could become. And we got overwhelming response because in India has close to 5,000 dams, over 300,000 bridges, railway and highway, and 200 ports. And we've not even started on defense and several other use cases. So looking at this market, looking at the catastrophic failures that could be very impactful for India, we went on with the journey to figure out, let's see what happens. And that's where we started off.
And can you just briefly share about the companies that you engage with, for whom you come as a solution?
So broadly, we cater to assessing the structural health. So let's say you have a dam, there are leaks in the dam, or the dam is 40-50 years old. The structure will deteriorate because water at high depths is not really friendly. So the aim here is to go down where humans cannot go.
Right.
Go in environments that are hazardous for humans, higher depths, humans cannot survive.
I think that's what makes your startup special. Let's also get a perspective from our mentor. Sanjeev Bekachandani continues to be with us. There he is on the mentor wall. Sanjeev ji, underwater rovers is not a new technology. We're familiar with it. We've seen the use of it. But to be able to customize it as per the requirements of different industries, that I think is the hallmark of Planis. How do you see it?
Once again, I'll go back to the earlier advice I gave, which is how defensible is your business, your technology, is there a moat, and therefore can it be replicated? And what are you doing to defend your IP? And but I do believe that they're onto something. The fact that the clients are demanding it, the fact that clients are using it is useful. But what you really need to do also is be able to use the data you gather from each time it is used, your robot is used, so that actually your final moat may be, if you are, let's say you have done, your robots are used, let's say in 100 dams worldwide and they've been used 1,000 times, the data you gather can be very, very useful for predictive maintenance, for when something is learned from here, but that learning is transparent there, and that could be your moat. So I'd say focus a lot on data from each time you use it, and gather a lot of data, not just the data which you specifically want, but gather everything around it also.
Right there. Thanks for that input. So data would be crucial, gathering the data and using them for your future projects. Also, we managed to speak to your mentor, who gives us a brief idea about the journey from a garage, we are told. Let's take a look at what your mentor had to say.
Government played a very important role. It was, I think, at the right time the startup policy came into play, thanks to our Prime Minister at that point, 2016. And a lot of policy changes allowed startups to go into sectors that were thought to be closed. In sectors like oil and gas, railways, dams, infrastructure, ports, and this is where their key customers lie, right? And in terms of fundraising also, I would say 5-6 years back, it was quite a challenging kind of arena for startups working in deep technology to be able to raise funding from angels and venture capital. And over the years, that pathway at least has been shown, and there's been a lot of support from the government to encourage such things as well.
So it was a point from the mentor. How was it, the journey, starting from a garage to reaching on this platform? We are celebrating the best of startups. How was it?
It's been tough, but at the same time, we feel very happy to see our technology actually being used for commercial assets. And it's been 5 years, and now starting from technology not being available in India to be used in very crucial assets and very common assets, it's very nice to see this and hope to scale this to larger levels.
Great. And if you can have just one quick question from the audience members. Yeah.
Hello, sir. My name is Neha Agrawal. As we know that there is a huge investment and risk involved in startup, despite of both these factors, what thought made you get stuck with a startup only? कि startup ही करना है?
So for me or for us, what happened is we built technology, we found an application for it where there was a gap in the industry, and then we moved on into it. So it was a little natural rather than working for a lot of years in corporate and then coming back. So it was slightly different, but at the same time, this is what we like to do. We're passionate about building stuff, and seeing stuff built and used in the market is something that gives a lot of it makes us happy, and it gives a lot of satisfaction. So yeah, that was one of the key reasons. Yeah.
Right, and that takes us to our next startup. We're talking about Scapic Innovations. Now, when we talk about Scapic, we have to talk about augmented reality. Augmented reality, I think it's the closest that technology gets to the idea of magic. Sitting in your room, in your house, you can experience the world, not just see it. You can travel the world and also bring the world to your drawing room. What Scapic Innovation uses is the augmented reality as a tool for their business. I'll give you an example. If you want to buy a sofa, but you're not sure if the sofa would fit in well in your room, or will it match with your curtains, now with the technology that is developed by Scapic, you can see the sofa placed in your room, see the dimension, match the colors, and then decide to make a purchase. No wonder Scapic was recognized by e-commerce giant Flipkart as well, and now for them sky is the limit in the real world. Let's look at their fascinating journey.
Imagine a time when one can relive all your sensory memories. No, it's not magic, but pure science, or should we say virtual and augmented reality, which promises to change the way one look at reality. And bringing in a revolution in the sphere is a Bangalore startup which has rewritten the contours of reality. Imagine a time when you log into an e-commerce portal and try to visualize a product through a 3D version in an augmented reality. Well, that is the power of virtual and augmented reality, and Scapic is leading India's charge in this sector.
It started with two people passionate about the technology and the product, just probably starting from ranting about the space to why is it not picking in India, to the opportunity and how big this can become in India in itself.
Founded in 2017 by Ajay and Sai Krishna, the Bangalore-based company won the National Startup Awards. Scapic, a company which built a unique software-as-a-service cloud platform that allows users to create and build virtual and augmented reality experiences through web browse, making accessible the cutting-edge technology for everyone. Building a deep technology product startup was a challenge in the country, but the Maverick duo were not to be deterred.
The game was not even there when we started. It's as good as, we started the game in itself.
We are carrying devices in our pockets which have more computing power than what NASA had to put a man on the moon. These smartphones are no longer just phones. They are a whole computing unit that you can do meaningfully great things with.
As per a market research, the global augmented reality and virtual reality market size is expected to grow by $125.19 billion during 2020-2024, rising over 35% during the forecast period, driven mainly by markets in Asia Pacific.
So we wanted to disrupt the whole content chapter. Somebody had to solve the content problem. What's the use of hardware if there's no content for you to see in it?
The cycle that you take in terms of convincing the people around you that your dreams are worth chasing is probably the toughest. I believe the only way change happens is if potential meets opportunity in some way, which is on one side you can have the best technology stack that you could have possibly built, but is absolutely meaningless if you don't have the right distribution to get it out there to people and meaningfully change their lives.
Scapic's pioneering work didn't go unnoticed. In fact, e-commerce giant Flipkart has picked up 100% stake in the augmented reality company, giving wings to the dreams of both Ajay and Sai.
Scapic's capabilities for 3D commerce was extremely unique when it comes to applicability within Flipkart. For example, if you want to see a table or a refrigerator as it would look in reality in your house, I think Scapic focused a lot on creating great 3D images with high fidelity. When we say high fidelity, it means like it would exactly look like as if you had the same thing there. So, and they had a very strong technical background in AR, and it was extremely relevant to Flipkart.
Scapic aims to democratize extended reality in e-commerce and drive a new generations of products, visuals and experiences in the next quarter. Their mission: make augmented reality accessible for millions of Indians and make the camera the next frontier for commerce. Taposh Bhattacharya's report, TT India.
Right, a round of applause if we can have. There's a brilliant world of Scapic innovation, really democratizing access to technology and augmented reality for the masses. Sai is with us, founder. Sai, tell us about, again, the journey, where did it start, and how has life changed after being acquired by Flipkart?
Looking back, it seems like everything happened that quick, but it was also prolonged through what we stuck it through to make Scapic happen. At its core, the belief started between me and a small team that the way we interact with our devices changes every 10 to 15 years. We've gone from punch cards to mainframes, mainframes to desktops, desktops to laptops, smartphones. There's no reason to believe we're going to stop with the smartphones as such. Now what's next? You start interfacing with things on a spatial level or on a voice level. Voice-based computing is already out there with speakers that you talk to. But spatial computing, in terms of virtual reality and augmented reality, is where we think the next frontier for computing in itself is going to move towards. Now, to get there, you require a bunch of startups working in the hardware stack, the software stack, and the content stack to make this dream a reality in itself. And to that, we started looking at how software, authoring content, and making this process really simple for Indian brands and businesses can be there. And that's really where the genesis of the idea was.
And if you can take a perspective from the mentor, Sanjeev Vikachandani, sir, a particular aspect that I want to bring to you is about being acquired. When a startup is acquired by a bigger company, how significant is that moment, and in what manner do you protect your identity yet be a part of a bigger successful venture?
Look, it's hard to protect your identity. You were a B2B solution. The consumer didn't know your brand is not out there. But then maybe that is not the ambition or goal of the founders. Maybe it was to build something and get acquired. And if they've achieved that goal, I think it's great. It's a good outcome for them. And maybe they can now go on to the next thing and be equally innovative in another startup. I think that's fine.
Right. And Sai, would you like to add to that, the way in which the acquisition by Flipkart has changed the fortunes of the company for you? What does it mean to you?
I think the lens we view this with is impact, which is what is the fastest way in order for a country to adopt a solution like VR and AR, which we typically have probably taken up as wave 2 or wave 3 of technology as when it hits the country per se. And to get tech like that out to 150 million Indians in a commerce environment seemed the fastest way to create the kind of impact that we were aspiring for. So more than anything, I think collaboratively with Flipkart's distribution on one side and the entire user base, we think this is the fastest way to get it out there to 200 million odd Indians too.
Right. Sai, also from augmented reality, let's get a perspective from the real world. We spoke to some of your family members. Let's see what they have to say on your journey.
अगर मैं ना डर नहीं था बोलूँगी तो वो झूठ है. सभी माँ के लिए डर होता है क्योंकि वो एक अहम पीरियड है उनके लाइफ में, लाइक बिटवीन 22 to 26 उनका कैरियर सेट हो जाता है. One day he will do. We had that hope. Yeah, we had that hope on him. No rest for them. No rest, no time, nothing. Never sleeps. That's why I shout at him. He never sleeps, never eats.
He told us, I want to just because of मैं मेहनत करती हूँ and उन लोग actually they are getting the profit. So I want to start my own business.
It gets overwhelming. So there are situations where Ajay comes home like at 3 a.m. in the morning. Sometimes he'll never come back to the home. So I keep waiting for him. I used to call him and he'll just say, I'm in meeting, please call me later. That's it. Or he'll message me.
He was never available for us for even 10 days to 15 days over phone to talk to us each other. The moment I came to know that Scapic was started and so many people they employed now, I just told Sai, even Sai I could speak to him. More than you both earning financially and going up in the ladder, you are giving employment opportunity to so many people.
proud family members of the founders of Scapic. Let's also get some questions from the audience member curious about the startup. Yeah.
Hello sir, the work you do was very great, and but with the innovation there comes a risk. The risk that whether the market will be accepting the fact, or in a country like India, there are less people who usually adapt these technologies. So what were the risk factor you were considering while developing this kind of technology?
Fairly interesting. I think in the world of deep technology, you're always at a higher risk profile than a typical way that you go about building an org in the first place. While looking at it from that perspective, the contrary to that is the only way you can have outsized impact between when you're 20 and 30 is if you do something that's very contrarian in the first place and possibly get it right. Now, the odds of you getting it right is definitely small, and that's what startups inherently are. But if you do take a contrarian stance saying, I'm going to be possibly building a deep tech company which could be across drones, across 3D printing or augmented reality or any other piece of technology that you're deeply passionate about, and you end up on the right side of the coin, you possibly end up having impact that's going to define your life as you move forward at. So you work it out from the opportunity of what if it turns out right 1 out of the 10 times as compared to what if it goes bust 9 out of the 10 times. And that unbridled amount of optimism really gets you through the line, I guess.
Right. And with that, let's connect with our final startup of the day, GingerMind. Now, let's think about it. What is augmented reality to a person who cannot see? Can technology, can artificial intelligence help a person who's visually impaired to be able to cross the road or read a book? Well, the answer is a resounding yes. And thanks to GingerMind Technologies, using technology for transformative purposes to give a vision to those who can't see, to vision to the industry and the nation. Let's take a look at their inspiring journey.
A visit to the National Association for Blind changed Gaurav Mittal's life. Deeply touched, Gaurav immersed himself in the effort to find a solution to problems faced by visually impaired, and this led to GingerMind. Founded by Gaurav, his mother Subodh and Vaibhav Asthana, this deep tech startup is leveraging existing technologies to make day-to-day functioning easier for the visually impaired.
I was 2 years into my corporate life when we had this CSR day at a blind association in Bangalore. There we spent a day with the different visually impaired people. And that's when I saw a person who was coding on computer. And at the same time, I saw the same person using a white cane to roam around the campus. There was a stark difference on what was available as technology to that person. I thought, let's start tinkering something, let's start building some technology for visually impaired, and that's how ID was born.
Started with an initial grant of rupees 15 lakh by Gaurav's elder brother and his wife, GingerMind took off, and Gaurav left his engineering job in 2015 to focus on ID, an artificial intelligence-based application that assists the visually impaired. GingerMind's artificial intelligence-based application has proved to be a boon for those who are visually impaired. In fact, it has brought a quality of changes in their life. The app ID facilitates navigation and movements for its users. It incorporates artificial intelligence, machine learning, and virtual reality to help its users. The app acts as a constant companion for users and reduces their dependency. When there are textual instructions and notices displayed in public places, the user can just scan them and app will read out the text for them.
Camera active, right swipe to select camera, take picture button, double, processing image, please wait.
They have also developed a wearable glasses which uses artificial intelligence and augmented reality to make public places accessible for walking for the visually impaired.
समझाने में बहुत दिक्कत आती है क्योंकि साइटेड लोगों को ये समझाना कि अंधेरी दुनिया क्या होती है वो बहुत मुश्किल है। वो हमें भी खुद बहुत समझने में मुश्किल पड़ा, और उन लोगों को उस प्लेटफॉर्म पे लेके आना, उस फीलिंग तक लेकर के आना कि अंधों की दुनिया क्या होती है, वो काफ़ी टफ होता है। तो बच्चों तक पहुंचना तो बहुत आसान है, हम इजीली पहुंच सकते हैं क्योंकि हम उस सेंटिमेंट्स को समझ रहे हैं, लेकिन जो फंड्स देने वाले हैं उन लोगों को ये चीज़ समझाना कि उनकी दुनिया कैसी है और वो कैसा वो है, ये बहुत चैलेंजिंग होता है।
It's a word of mouth from customers that has increased its user base to 70,000 people in 160 countries till now. The team also did a pilot project with Barcelona City Council in 2019 and is currently doing a pilot project with IIM Bangalore.
Everything in hardware and software is built in-house using partners. So there were many partners that have helped us down the line, like there's a startup Machine who built the hardware casing for it. And the hardware inside it, that was totally built inside, the software was built inside, and everyone we have been doing through support of grants through different entities.
For Gaurav and his team, the fire to bring incremental change in the lives of the visually impaired fuel their innovations. It's a journey well begun, but they say they still have a long way to go. Tapush Bhattacharya's report, TD India.
Their inspiring journey of Ginger Mind. Round of applause if we can have for them. An inspiring journey of Ginger Mind. Let's get a quick perspective from our mentor, Sanjeev Bikachandani. Use of technology, the manner in which it can prove to be a force multiplier, especially for a social cause. We see that in the journey of Ginger Mind. How do you see, sir, the way in which they put it together and the road ahead?
So I think it's terrific. I think it's very inspirational. I think it's fulfilling a huge social good. Very often people who are visually impaired are not financially well off, or their families may not be financially well off. I think the challenge here is going to be how do you get revenue? How do you become sustainable? I think a lot of this is going to be CSR, a lot of this is going to be government grants, a lot of this is going to be stuff like that, because a number of people who need this may not be able to afford it, but it's badly needed by them. And therefore, I think the construct of the organization that's doing it, should it be a for-profit or not-for-profit, how are they going to get revenue or grants or equity or whatever? I think that needs to be thought through very well, and that's the advice I'd give them.
And sir, before we let you go, if we could also just learn from you for all the startups, not just on the stage today, but many young entrepreneurs watching this program, you're learning from decades of experience in the field. What would you like to say to budding entrepreneurs?
I'd say solve an unsolved problem. If you solve an unsolved problem, you hit a hot button. Naukri solved an unsolved problem, and it began to be used and got traction, and it went viral without any money. We didn't have money. Likewise, the last startup we saw, Ginger, it's getting used. I'm pretty sure they haven't spent a lot of money on advertising, although they didn't talk about it, but it's being used by so many people because it's solving an unsolved problem. So I would say focus on the user, focus on the customer, the consumer, and figure out the unsolved problems and then produce a solution for that unsolved problem. I think startups that succeed very often do it because they focus on the consumer and they understood the consumer's unsolved problems.
Valuable advice there. Sanjeev sir, thanks very much for joining us in the program today.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
So Gaurav, the first thing I'd like to learn about Ginger Mind from you is about the end user, our visually impaired people. When you compare the facilities that are there across the world and the facilities that are there in India, because I understand your startup, your product is being used, the app is being used not just in India but across the world. How does India compare in terms of offering facilities to visually impaired people in the day-to-day life?
I think, of course, there are many challenges when you compare a country like India to the West, to US and Europe. One thing that has been changing over the last 5 to 8 years is technology. Now, technology is really playing a leveling ground for any visually impaired person anywhere. And to give you an example, a few decades back, the only thing that was available for visually impaired people was these tactile tiles which you can install as an infrastructural change.
That we see on the roads and the pavements.
Yes, that you see on the road, on metros. And now with technology, now a person sitting in India can have the same access in terms of walking, in terms of reading book, in terms of navigation, same as in the West. In fact, to tell you, when we started off in India 5 years back, this app, this app got to the West just because some user sitting in Chennai told to international users that, hey, you know what, there is this app available. So you see a reverse migration of tech happening as well these days.
Gaurav, it's quite transformative. If in brief you could tell us, if there is a visually impaired person who's made familiar with this app, what is the means to get it, download it? How much does it cost?
Yeah. So it costs about 500 rupees. We have kept it really affordable, and inside the app then you can add more features, like if you want a color reader, you want an Indian language reader, you can do some in-app purchases.
Right.
And it is very cost effective when you compare to some product which is developed in the West. It is about 1/10 the cost of the same thing available in the West.
Great. Gaurav, let's also take a look at what your family has to say about the journey of Ginger Mind.
When Gaurav told us about his idea, we felt really proud of him. He's a very determined person, as well as he had a very clear vision about his idea. We felt as if he's found his life's calling.
Gaurav liked to make new things and help anybody in need, whether they are his friend or he met them just now. He really loved it. I very clearly remember one of his childhood photographs where there were so many wires spread on the floor. There were one screwdriver on his ear, and he had 3 or 4 motors, and he was trying to combine them to make something new. So it was not surprising for us when he explained his first ever idea.
मैंने इन 7 सालों में बहुत ही अप्स एंड डाउन्स और स्ट्रगल्स देखे हैं उनके, लेकिन मुझे बहुत प्राउड फील होता है ये देखकर आज वो जहाँ पहुँचे हैं. एक काम जो उन्होंने एज अ पार्ट टाइम हॉबी स्टार्ट किया था, आज वो फुल टाइम उसमें हैं और उन्होंने इतना कुछ अचीव किया है.
Family is a big support always, Gaurav, and it's so good to learn that your mother is your partner in the startup, founder partner. Tell us about that, because the technology may be new, but she's been engaged in social causes from the very beginning.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes, so my mother, Subodh, I co-founded the company with her as well as one more friend. And she has been an inspiration for me since childhood. She has been a social activist. She has been very involved with my day-to-day upbringing, my brother's upbringing. And when I started, it was very intuitive that she has to come on board, because technology is one part. But how do you understand this segment? How do you deliver your technology, and how do you make a connection in terms of social aspect? She brings into the table, and yeah, we learn every day through her involvement with the company.
Let me get some questions from the audience quickly, if we can have the questions. Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Karthik. First of all, I will like to congratulate all of you. What you have achieved, guys, is really admirable. And Gaurav sir, what you have done with to help the visually impaired, I mean, it's really commendable. I really wanted to ask you, how do you see this technology in the span of next 10 or 20 years? Can this technology be used to integrate with cars to achieve full self-driving capability, or do you still plan to just keep it to help humans in terms of now?
Yes, actually very interesting question. And as my friend Sai said over here, that today smartphones are really powerful. And to give an answer to what you just mentioned, autonomous cars, actually what is possible today in autonomous cars, we are trying to do the same thing on a smartphone, and that too offline. And of course, the technology stack is similar. The kind of IP that is being developed is similar. And in fact, the stack, what we have developed, we are now trying to take it mainstream and see how this stack can be used in, let's say, warehouses in South Korea, or in Amazon's or Walmart's warehouses, where these all bots can autonomously roam around the campus and then do stuff what is being possible without AI today. So of course there is some stack that you can leverage in terms of autonomous cars, in terms of autonomous bots in warehouses as well.
Thank you.
Right there, as we move towards the conclusion of the program, very briefly from each one of you, the journey that you've had of your startup so far. Gaurav, I'll start with you. Just one learning, any experience that you've had, one learning in brief if you can share with us.
Yeah. So I would say the biggest learning for us is accept your mistakes, own them, and learn very, very fast, because it's a very competitive world and you need to get the product out and working as soon as possible.
Great, Sai.
Stay curious and put your head down. More often than not, the important work is usually done behind the scenes, and you're not going to do any of that if you're not curious enough to get going.
Tanuj?
Need to have a lot of grit and resilience, because the tech will take time. The tech could take time to be adopted, and you need to be there throughout the journey with strength. So yeah, grit and resilience will be very important.
Dinesh.
When we develop something technologically advanced, like it is easy to get carried away to just focusing on the tech. Just a good balance between sustainable business building around it is very critical, just as much as the technology.
Right, and on that note, let me thank all four of you for joining us in the program today. Best wishes to your respective startups. We hope that you climb new ladders of success. Thanks very much. If we can put our hands together for the brilliant startups who joined us together. Also, a big thank you to our mentor, Mr. Sanjeev Bikachandani, who stayed with us and gave us all the valuable inputs today. Thank you to our audience members. A big round of applause for you as well for those engaging questions that you put today. And before we close, let's take a look at the kind of impact that Startup Champions is already having.
After the telecast of Niramai's story on Doordarshan, I mean, we are so happy that the story was telecasted in every regional channel of Doordarshan as well. Thank you so much, Doordarshan. But post that, we've received a lot of interest from women for home screening. In addition, our fellow startups who were on the stage with us, Innovation, we've collaborated with them now to start a clinical study in HCG to see how thermolytics performs for throat cancer, and this is really interesting collaboration that we had not thought of before.
We were extremely thrilled to win the first edition of the National Startup India Awards in 2020, and this was followed by a deep-rooted engagement with Doordarshan that has culminated in us being featured on their show Startup Champions. Through the show, we have also initiated a collaboration with Niramai Health to develop an artificial intelligence platform to detect throat cancers at an early stage.
And with that, we conclude this edition of Startup Champions. Do tell us about how you're liking the program. If you want to connect with any of the startups who take the stage here, you can write to us at startup.india@gov.in. So this journey, the inspiring journey of learning about our brilliant startups will continue. Till we meet again, I'll take your leave for now. Namaskar.